Right, folks, I've just come down from the Chitwa Dam wall, and there Seb is just trying to locate that little bird, a very pretty little bird that we're looking at. We keep on chasing them away in front of the vehicle, but that is a little bee eater who is now not obliged and he's flown away. So, with everybody really struggling to find the predators, Seb has told me about a little secret spot down below the Chitwa Dam. Now, I know that Tristan uses this as a spot to come and look for leopards when everybody has been struggling, normally on a very hot day, but we're just taking a bit of a chance and coming down to see if we can find any sign of the spotted cats moving around here. And after that, we're going to go back up onto the wall and have a look at the hippos who were just calling a second ago. But we're just moving down the bottom here, and you can see there's quite a lot of sign of erosion with the water having flowed through here. There's also quite a bit of sign of elephants, but it's not anything fresh. And I know you have been watching the elephants nicely with Noel. So I'm not looking for elephants at the moment, and there's no sort of real sign that they are in the area. We might, this is a nice sort of marshy area too, so it's a lovely spot to pick up on some different birds and also some frogs. So we're just looking for something a little bit different. Now, there's also a good indication as we move into this area. You can see how the vegetation has sort of changed from the area where we were in quite a high area in terms of the lay of the land. Now we've moved down towards a kind of a riverine vegetation, and we went from those red bush willows to more of a little bit more marula. There's some jackalberries. Here there's some, okay, there is some russet bush willows, so there's also bush willow in the area, but this is a dam, so it has been man-made. Now I just want to stop here for a second. I'll just freewheel forward. There was a little bit of movement in the water there. I just want to see if we can hear if there's any frogs calling. A little bit of movement in the water there. I'm not quite sure what it was. And I also want to listen to see if there's any other birds around. It does seem pretty quiet. In front I can hear a marsh warbler. He does a bit of a but otherwise it's still pretty quiet. So let's move forward a little bit. I don't want to sit here with nothing happening. Move forward a little bit. We'll go through this little drainage line here. So this is obviously, you know, you always need to have an overflow. You always need to have an area, especially if you've built a dam. You need to have an area where the water can flow through, otherwise you are running the risk of having your dam burst. So there needs to be an easy outflow, and this is obviously where the dam is now outflowing to. We're not seeing anything particular, but if Seb, if you will just go just to that tree there, if you can just zoom in on that tree that you were on, just to the right of the water, that's it. You can see that, yeah, that lovely sort of dark but patchy bark there, that is from a tambuti, and there is one here just next to us. Now I'm just going to jump out the vehicle if I don't get tied up. I just want to have a look here, and what is very easy with these trees, you know, when we train students, you know, for identifying trees, it's one of the easiest trees to identify. As soon as you pick it, you see you get that white latex that starts to come out. Now, it's not extremely poisonous, but it will turn your stomach around, so you don't want to get that on your skin. And you stop moving, sorry. Excuse me, Seb. There we go. So if you can just get in there nice and close. Obviously I can't see what Seb is seeing, so he's just giving me some instructions. That lovely nice white milky latex. Now that can be used if you've got toothache. It does numb the area, so you can put that onto your teeth or if you've had a tooth pulled, you can actually use that as a bit of an anesthetic. And another thing is that this does help to, now I'm just dropping it on the floor there, with that tree, it does help to keep the insects away, the pesky insects. So if you've got, fish moths or any of the insects that are invading your space, in your clothing or anywhere like that, you put a branch of the tambuti inside your cupboard, and that can actually help to keep the insects out. And oopsie, I've done that the wrong side now. So, but a couple of the animals that will feed on this tree are porcupine, even though it's poisonous. So porcupine are one of the animals that are able to digest this poison, or this slightly poisonous latex. And another one being that of your oryx and gemsbok. Kudu also will feed on it. So it's quite a difficult tree to work with, but these animals will be able to feed on it. Jilly asking the question, how did the fever tree get its name? That's a very good question, and because the name is very descriptive, being a fever tree. Now that is the Acacia xanthophylla, the old acacia. Now it would be Vachellia. That getting its name because of the areas where the fever tree grows was always in the same areas where people would get malaria. So a lot of the people thought that tree was causing the fever that you get from malaria. And even so, because it's a very interesting tree, that the bark is very green, so it actually helps to photosynthesize on the bark itself, but there's a white powdery substance on the outside of that, and they actually believed that inhaling this powder that you got on the edge of the bark was creating this fever that you would get from malaria. And only later did they realize that it was actually the mosquitoes biting people in the same areas that was creating the fever. But the common name remained. So that is where the name fever tree comes from, Vachellia xanthophylla. And you find it along lovely, also quite a tree that you do find in marshy areas near to riverine vegetation, such as the tambuti. So, you can also look at vegetation, which will also indicate what's going on in the soil, what's happening in the area. And if you understand the trees and the botany, then you can actually help yourself quite a lot, because you can understand what is happening in the soil. So, these trees, smaller leaves, next to riverine vegetation, a lot more clayey soil. So right, I'm going to head up back onto the Chitwa Dam and have a look at those hippos, but in the meantime, Noelle is driving around. Let's have a look what she might be able to find.
Thanks, Ralph. I'm driving around, having a look for tracks, bumbling about, seeing what wants to show itself. Something else we haven't seen in a while is some moving around hyenas. I know that James checked the other day at the hyena den to see what was happening with those youngsters. I haven't seen any activity since the bigger rain, so I'm not quite sure, and I don't believe he had any activity the other day. So we might swing past there a little bit later, just depending on what we're up to. We're still sort of to the eastern side of our property. And what I would like to do now, after we're finished with this area, unless we pick up something on Tandi, just want to go check Biffle's cut line and see if maybe the Inkahumas want to come out. Sorry, I've just seen something in a tree. It's not leopard-like. It is more bird-like. It's definitely on a nest. I actually think it might be a battleur on a nest. I want to... Oh, wonderful. It is a battleur on a nest. Yes, I'm still so impressed with our cameras. It's a bit far off. I would like to sort of get a little bit closer if we can. It'll be a little bit easier to see and to ascertain possibly what is potting over that side. Excuse me for my sniffles and my coughs and my cold. I think this cold weather, after our nice warm weather, has really decided to settle in. It's okay, I'll have some nice ginger tea tonight. It'll sort it all out. Anyone's ever getting this is totally off topic, but if anyone's ever getting a bit of a cold, slice some fresh ginger, put with boiling water, put some honey and some lemon, and I'm telling you, it works wonders. You can also, if you have a chance, ooh, we've got our 3 battlers. If you have a chance, mix with rooibos tea. Rooibos is a herbal South African tea. It's red bush tea. It's very, very good. You can get it pretty much anywhere these days. Okay. Billy, what do you think? Do you think if I come around the corner, we'll be able to get the 2 and then the 1 in the nest as well? We might do. Let's just try. Let's try and see what we can do with this sighting. So we see these 3 battlers often together. We had that wonderful sunset the other day, and I think just maybe. Okay, so look, it's not the best view, but we've got the 2 that are inside a tall knob thorn at about our 3 o'clock. There's 2 of them, and then just behind them and to the right is the other tree with the nest where that other battler is inside. I have a feeling that what that other battler is doing is actually picking out chicks. I don't necessarily think it's its nest, just because I've been past here enough and I haven't seen any of them on a nest before. So I think that they're raiding that nest for whatever might be inside. But look, it's just a guess for now. It's quite interesting. There's a lot of starlings. Ooh, there they go. There's a lot of starlings around that one. I'm surprised they're not being mobbed a bit more. And here is our other 2. Looking slightly warmer than the battler we had this morning. What's in that one's mouth? Do you see that, Vildy? Oh, now, see, I might have to correct myself, because in that one's mouth is what looks like some nesting material. So I think my original assertion was in fact wrong, and they're busy rebuilding a nest and putting it in. Now, it's interesting that it's 3 of them. So we've talked about this on and off for the past couple of weeks. I thought at one point it was a male and a female and a much older youngster. That was my guess. But they're definitely, I mean, there's no other reason for them to be in there other than our first thought that we had was that they were taking the chicks out, but they wouldn't be eating chicks out of there. And then, oh, we've got cuckoos here, Vildy, I think. And hold on, sorry. We've got so much bird activity. There's an oriole that was there, and they're chasing. Oh, they're chasing a starling. That's what they're chasing. Out of the area. There's a Burchell starling, and then 2 black-headed orioles were chasing it there.
There's 2 things on that nest.
Are there 2 things on that nest? Vildy's saying there's 2 things on that nest. I'm super intrigued right now. So the 3 battlers are now sitting together. It was the starling, Vildy, that's alright. So the 3 are sitting together, sorry, on that tree. 2 of them are sort of touching and grooming each other. The other one's off to the side. Now this is making me wonder if older youngsters assist their parents at all in nest building. I actually don't know. It's something curious. I'm going to have to give myself homework and read up a little bit more about battler and also ask some friends regarding sort of nesting behavior, because I actually don't know that much about their nesting behavior, sad to say. But it's very interesting what they were doing. And also the bit of branch that it brought, it looked like the one that was sitting there that had gotten it from a different tree, not from that knobthorn tree. They're not going to put thorns in there. It looked like a broad-leafed, soft tree. Very, very, very cool. Hello, Lily. You're saying how much you love battler. I also love them. They're my favorite eagle. Well, my favorite eagle at the moment. Thanks so much for the comment. I'm glad to hear that you like them. One's just flown back up towards the nest again. and is busy potting around in there. We talked about it several game drives ago about how eagles like to lie in their nest with soft nesting material and sometimes with pungent leaves. And I was wondering what sort of pungent leaves they would use in this area because we don't have the alien invasive eucalyptus. I still haven't found the answer to that. Now my friend Ralph has a baby hippopotamus over at Chitwa Dam, so let's head over to him and have a look.
So we came back up onto the Chitwa Dam wall, and we have relocated Mommy with the little baby. Now Mommy did have a few fresh wounds on her back yesterday. It seems like they have healed up a little bit, and it doesn't seem to be anything bad at all, but she is hanging out here on the opposite side of the dam to the rest of the hippos, so I don't know what happened with the group on the grander scheme of things, because she is now isolated herself far away from everybody else, so there must have been some kind of dispute between the rest of them. But baby looks very healthy, and Mommy, apart from this few little scratches, she's absolutely fine as well. Now what was very interesting, and we had it yesterday as well, the birds just flew off, but we did have some of the red-billed oxpeckers keeping those little wounds open. Now oxpeckers are sanguinivores, which means that they feed on blood, but they generally take it off parasites which are engorged with blood. So they would take them normally off your impala, sorry, not your impala, the impala, and giraffe and kudu, but in this case they actually just identified that there isn't wounds on this hippo, and they're just keeping those little wounds open and feeding on the blood. Now when they do that, the hippo doesn't seem to mind at all. It's almost like she doesn't even feel it. But in that particular situation, we speak of symbiosis and the relationships between animals and organisms, and in that particular instance they would normally be a sort of mutualistic relationship because they would both benefit from that relationship, but in this particular instance it would be more of parasitism. So those birds gaining to the detriment of the hippo. It's not a massive detriment to the hippo, but it wouldn't be a gain in any way whatsoever, and it's not doing anything. It is drinking her blood and keeping the wound open, so it's not something that you'd like. As the Egyptian geese fly over, and there the little baby is climbing on Mommy's head. He's just gone under again. A lovely little sighting, this. Mommy is very relaxed. She's in shallow enough water that the baby can bob up and down. Doesn't need to go too deep, and the baby keeps on climbing on her head a little bit. Now they do defecate in the water as well, and we're seeing quite a bit of movement of fish in the area. The fish will also come and feed on the defecation of the hippos. So there you can see just on the top right hand corner there's movement of fish. It's most likely to be catfish who would feed on the defecation, and sometimes insects and things come to feed on the defecation of the hippos, and then the fish follow. So once again you've got a whole little cycle of life. Sorry, there has been a question coming through. Would you mind repeating that, Kirsten? Question from Eric the Poet. Is it safe to say that oxpeckers are bloodthirsty? Absolutely. They are definitely bloodthirsty vampires. They are drinking blood off the hippo, and the parasites that they feed on are normally full of blood themselves. So Yes, definitely. I would definitely say that they are vampire blood-sucking individuals. Right, we're going to head up along the road here. There still hasn't been any leopards found, but up here near the airstrip is a fantastic spot that we can have an opportunity of maybe finding some leopard, but there's generally some good game movement as well. So let's move along down the road and see what we find around the corner. We are moving around the back of Chitwa Lodge, so please don't worry about the few little buildings that we see here. There still is a lot of animal movement in the area. So as I head up towards the airstrip, I'm going to see what's moving around there. Let's go back to Noel and get an update from her.
No update this far, Ralph. So, or thus far. I'm sorry, I really don't know. I feel like maybe I haven't had enough water today. My words are not coming out as well as they should. And again, no update from us. Still just checking our eastern boundary and then heading up towards where possibly I am hoping the Nkuhumas want to come out of Biffle's Hook. Seeing lots of impala. None of them are being eaten by leopard. Vildy and I are very sad about this fact. But you never know. Everything happens. Maybe a last-minute leopard. Hello, Joy. Afternoon. So, Joy, no, the rooibos tea comes from the red bush that is in the Western Cape. So, on the complete opposite side of the country of South Africa from us. So, unfortunately, I can't show you any of those. I do believe that Ralph showed you a red bush willow earlier, and you can take those samoras, those seed pods, and make a tea out of them. But it's not the same rooibos tea as I was talking about. If we did have, I would definitely show you. If I actually had rooibos tea with me right now, I would probably be drinking it. It's getting chilly again. It's very, very, very good, and lots of antioxidants in it as well, and proudly South African. Okay, well, on my wish list for the rest of this afternoon / evening is to see a honey badger, a pangolin, a porcupine, a leopard, maybe all of them together. I think that's asking a bit much. A cheetah might want to pop up. The last update I had from the wild dogs earlier this afternoon is they're still all west. They've got a den that side as far as I understand, so I was hoping they would pop up over to us a little bit more, but if there's enough food for their prey species that size, there definitely will be now, because we've had all of this wonderful, glorious rain. Then I don't know how much we'll be seeing them in a couple of months, possibly a bit more as the pups get older. There's also other packs that might come through, but that particular pack, we'll probably see them on and off, and then hopefully they will decide to move over to the Djuma area and stay put with us for a little bit, but you never know. Only they know what they want to do, and we just have to do our best to try and find them wherever they might be. I think what else? We finally got our elephants, which is good. We had giraffe this morning. Always love a giraffe. We had zebra this morning, which was very good because they are very hard to see this time of year. And then, as far as birds go, Vildy and I had a nice sighting of a Deirdre's cuckoo earlier, but it didn't want to stay for camera. We're still looking for the nemesis bird, the Klaus's cuckoo, for the Djuma bird list. We did tick it off for the Mara bird list. And I, of course, am still looking for my nemesis leopard to show you on camera, Tingana. Yeah, I'm not going to think about that one too much. He is being super cheeky, as always. Not hide nor hair. LJK, you're curious. You guys are really liking this rooibos tea. LJK, you're wondering, what does rooibos tea taste like exactly? It's got a little bit of a... Kirst, help me out here. Not quite a smoky flavor, but like a wholesome woody flavor at the back of it. It depends on how long you steep it. It's just very earthy. It's a very earthy taste, but not bad. Kirst very cheeky. Kirst is saying it tastes red tea like. Yeah, it's rooibos tea is just, it tastes like rooibos tea. My stepmom lives in the States, and she got hooked on rooibos tea when she was visiting here, and she went to a store near her and found it. So I do know it's around. And there are a lot of South Africans that live in the States and also live in the UK. So there are a lot of South African shops everywhere, and they'll definitely have rooibos tea. And biscuit. So biscuit is, what's a biscuit, Vildia? A rusk, thanks, a rusk. It's a rusk, which is sort of similar to a biscotti. So you make your rooibos tea and you dip your biscuit in and you eat it. You eat your rusk. It's very good. You can also get rusk recipes on the internet and make them yourself. And on a cold, chilly afternoon like this, a rusk and a cup of tea is very, very good. I don't know. I feel like maybe we should have a conversation about tea and soup. Oh, we had soup. So this morning, Vildy and I were talking about when we get home, what are we going to have? And Mama Armani made a beautiful butternut and sweet potato soup. It was so good. Vildy, did you have your Milo?
Yes, a couple times.
Vildy had several Milos, several hot chocolates. I had coffee and soup and was very, very, very happy. Okay, well, at least it's not raining, but you would expect a bit more activity from the territorial creatures because the rain has subsided. So I think we just need to send out our good vibes, get our good juju flowing, and they will start coming to us. We've done most of our cut line now. Now we're going to do the northern cut line. Cross fingers, hold thumbs, and kahumas come across. I'd even settle for them to be on the Bifusuk side, but where we can see them. And that would be good. Although our buffaloes went up that side, so I'm sure they're feasting. Alright, let's head back to Ralph. I'm sure he's got something much more interesting to talk about other than tea and soup. So we'll go over to him. We'll see you just now.
Right, well folks, I'm not going to talk about tea or soup as I head out onto the airstrip here. What I would like to talk to you about is possibly some fresh tracks. Now, if we have a look at the airstrip, it would normally be nice and fresh for us, and absolutely, we look like we have an animal that was running through here. I don't know, it's not that easy for Seb to pick up, but let's try our best. I'm gonna stop here. There was a running animal here, so I'm gonna stop here and jump off the vehicle. It's better when we are out on foot to do this with the camera, but what you can see here, and as Sebastian comes and follows me, look into this area over there where I'm pointing. You can see the jump that has been made here, and you can see from the veracity of the track itself how those claws have dug into the ground and the direction that this animal was moving as well. But you can see the distance between the tracks that this animal was definitely running. Now, whether he was running away from something or chasing something is the question. But as we go down here, you can see this lovely pad at the back. You can see a toe there, second one, third one, fourth one, and you can see those lovely claws in the front. Now on the outer toes we've got a bit of kidney shape there as well as there, so this is definitely that of a hyena. Now this is the front foot, and so is that one, and this is the back foot, being much smaller than there and here as well. So you can imagine how he's run, with the front legs hitting down and those back legs coming over to here and then kicking off. So the front legs hitting down over there first, and the back legs coming over and landing here, front legs again, back legs. So you can almost imagine how this animal was running through here. Now, as I say, we don't know whether he was running away from something or whether he was chasing something, but very fresh as it's come through, and another one coming towards the vehicle here as well. So that's something interesting and lovely and fresh, nice and clean slate that we've got on the airstrip now. It would be nice for the aeroplanes to land, because it wouldn't be so bumpy after the rain that we've had. So it has cleaned it up nicely. Got some guinea fowl fighting up on the end there. But we just wanted to come down the road. And as I said, those hyena tracks were lovely. Lovely and fresh, probably from this morning or last night at the very least. And we're seeing some waterbuck tracks. Now this animal, as you can see, straight up it's been running all the way along here. It looks like there were two individuals as well, at least. So I'm driving on the track that he was running. Very interesting, hey? So you can almost see exactly what he was up to, but he was running that way. It doesn't look like there's any other fresh tracks. Maybe they had heard something, maybe they had smelt something, maybe there were lions roaring in the area, or maybe they heard some leopards calling and they thought that they'd go and follow up on that. R. Laura Moore, question from you asking, how do you tell the difference between hyena tracks and wild dog tracks? Now that's a very good question, because they are very similar sort of structured feet, but one of the biggest or the easiest ways to tell between wild dogs and hyenas. Sorry that I wasn't looking at the camera, I'm just having a look at all of these tracks as we go along. The difference between them, the easiest way, very big front feet of the hyena versus a very small back foot, and the wild dogs very similar in size, front feet to back feet. So that is a very good indicator. Plus the wild dogs feet also very dog-like, obviously. Now a hyena isn't exactly a dog, but the tracks are very dog-like, and I'm sure you would have seen from any of your domestic dogs at home, they are very similar to that of a wild dog's track. Now the broadness of a hyena's track is very much more round, especially on those front feet, than the wild dogs per se. Now I've just seen something land in the tree there, so if that answers your question, it's very easy to see from that front foot versus the back foot. And we've just got looks like a pied crow that's landed in the tree there. I haven't seen too many of them. What is interesting about this bird, I don't know if Seb can actually see it there. Can you spot it there, Seb? He's jumping up through the tree there. It's a bit of a pied crow. He's just gone behind the branches there. Here in the Lowveld, we've still got a number of I don't see it. We've still got a number of vultures that are flying around, but in the Eastern Cape, there we go. In the Eastern Cape, there is a lot of farmers around, a lot of sheep farmers, and they have poisoned a lot of carcasses because of that's a pied crow, because of the caracal and the jackals in the area, which like to feed on those lambs and the sheep. The farmers poison carcasses and then they put them out to kill the jackals and the caracal, and obviously with carcasses lying around, the vultures pick that up and they fly down and they will then also die. So in the Eastern Cape there are little to no vultures, but the crows have stepped into the lurch and they have become that sort of top decomposer of the birding world, and they've taken over the role of the vultures, and you'll find them. Oh wow, what's he's feeding on something. He's got something in the tree there, hey? It looked reptile-like to me. Almost like there was a bit of a leg. What is that? I don't know if anybody can actually see what that is. It's definitely meat of sorts. But so the crows, they're taking up that role in the Eastern Cape of the vultures. So they're helping to decompose, they're helping to get rid of that old meat that's lying around. You see, nature will always find a way, even though we do try to step in and change things. They still, you take away one apex predator or decomposer and another one sometimes can step into the lurch, as the crows have done in the Eastern Cape. We get the white-necked ravens there, we get the pied crow, as this one is on the tree here. But in this instance, in this area, they are obviously a little bit below the vultures in the sort of trophic pyramid per se. But they can hunt as well, but they also are adept at scavenging. It's all about energy efficiency. Why would you bother wasting energy hunting something and fighting it if you can actually steal somebody else's food or just pick up something that has died on its own? Right, we've got some guinea fowl that are just starting to make a racket behind us. We'll listen out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to listen out for this guinea fowl and see if he's going to indicate a leopard for us. But in the meantime, let's go back to Noel while I see what these guys are on about.
I also have some black and white birds. I've got some pied crows that are busy having a bit of a tiff with a pair of lilac-breasted rollers. They keep going between this tree that you're seeing here and a tree. Ooh, here comes the roller. Tree to the left. I have a feeling that the rollers probably have a nest somewhere here, and those pied crows might be, magpie shrikes are possibly trying to get too close to that nest. That would be my guess. There we can see there's the mates coming over there. So they keep moving from this tree into the other one and sort of dive bombing. Now the magpie shrikes are coming across to the limb there. There they are. Remember, shrikes like to eat things like lizards and birds and insects. The bird species that they would eat are going to be small, like chicks, as far as my memory serves me. Let's just listen for a minute. So the magpie shrikes have that sweet choo-choo call, and the very beautiful lilac-breasted rollers have that horrible rah, 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 rah call. Both species taking a little bit of a rest now. I just want to see, I have a feeling that those rollers will come back and sort of dive bomb these magpie shrikes again. Just keep an eye out. Sorry for our roof every now and then, but again, we don't want to get rained on, and it keeps raining on and off, although the past sort of hour has been nice. This lilac-breasted roller is circling and circling and calling and calling. LJK, very interesting question. You're curious about what is the advantage of such a long tail on a magpie shrike? Other than being pretty, LJK, I can't imagine there being a huge advantage. I just think it's a sort of plumage selection that's not necessarily served them for a purpose other than looking nice. I mean, it would be similar to something like a pin-tailed or shaft-tailed whydah, where the males grow it long for attracting females and for coloration. The magpies keep their tails all along. Again, very similar to the question we had earlier, why do elephants have wrinkly skin, or why does a water buck have a white circle on the bum? For me, it's just one of those things where it just is. I can't imagine there being anything super important about it. I mean, their balance is still going to be the same, whether it's a short tail or a long tail. It's an interesting thought. And other than that, I couldn't honestly tell you. I don't know if maybe you have an idea as to why it would be that way. Also, before I forget, a little bit off topic, but James Richard, you're curious about having me find a chameleon for you. I have been looking. It's super cold at the moment, so if we were to find a chameleon, I'd be super surprised. We need to just be a bit warmer, and then we're going to see a lot more chameleon activity, that's for sure. All right, our rollers and shrikes have now taken a rest. So I think we're going to keep checking along the road for any possible Nkahuma movement across to us, or maybe they're just over on this side. I heard some of the guys chit-chatting earlier. I couldn't quite hear properly, so I had a feeling that they were possibly around this area. So just double checking for everybody and for us as well. We've done really well with our birds and our trees today, and with our sort of general game. I'm very much in the mood for a cat. Judy, you're saying it's been a few days, you're having leopard withdrawal. Judy, I have leopard withdrawal every day I don't see a leopard. I have lion withdrawal even more. I love a leopard, but lions definitely a wee bit more. Tristan and I were actually talking about this. Tristan loves leopards. I love lions. So when Tristan and I go out on drive tracks or any leopard tracks, he goes to tracks and I go to the lion tracks. So I'm having some withdrawal for.
Alright folks, I think you've lost signal with Noel. We've just trying to follow up a little bit on this the alarm calling that we've heard from the guinea fowl. So sorry for the noise that we might have a little bit as we go through these branches here. It does get a little bit difficult sometimes to drive when you're going in through the thick stuff, but that's sometimes what we need to do to follow up on a potential animal. Now, I know James was discussing the other day about these guinea fowl that are roosting at present, so sometimes they are giving off a little bit of a call that is indicative of a alarm call, but we do need to try and follow up nonetheless, because it might be that they're alarm calling for a leopard. And this is the exact same area that I think it was Tamba, hey? Tamba was spotted the other day, so he might have hung in exactly the same area right here next to the airstrip. And there's lots of game, there's lots of food around, there's water around, so it's a lovely area for him to hang around. Now, it's not guaranteed, as I said, that we're going to find him, but we are going to just have a little bit of a look. So I'm just doing a small loop around this termite mound. Liz, have I ever seen a pangolin? Question coming in. I have seen a pangolin, and it was actually up in Namibia when I was driving on the tar road towards Etosha National Park, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I very well nearly hit it, and I slammed on brakes. I skidded to a halt, and the pangolin ran off on the side of the road. That was my only fleeting sight of a pangolin, but nonetheless I did manage to not hit it, and I did have a good short brief look at it. So that is my only sighting of a pangolin. So it wasn't anything amazing, and luckily I didn't run it over, because that would have broken my heart. And after that we had a very good safari in Etosha, so it was maybe the luck of the pangolin. Now, sorry for the branches, sorry about that, but we are getting into the thick stuff. We are trying to just do the little loop around and see if we can spot this leopard. I'm trying to look for the easiest way through the thickets and to try and do less damage to the vehicle and to the vegetation. Now, if you see, as we drive, we try to straddle these bushes to not totally destroy them, because they bounce up after us, behind us, and also to try and not damage the vehicle too much. Now, I might painting myself into a little bit of a corner here. I might have to go back the way I came, but I will still try and continue. Let's just go back a little bit and I'll loop through there. Now, these guinea fowl have gone quiet in the interim, so I think we're doing a little bit of a hit and miss here. It's not... Okay, so I'm going to continue bashing through the bush here, and as we call it, bund bashing. But while we're trying to see what we can find and if the leopard's anywhere nearby, let's cut back to Noelle and see what she has been able to find.
Hello. Well, we found vehicle tracks that are busy turning around here. So we're turning around because in the middle of them are lion tracks. And so we are just investigating. I just want to see, sorry, I'm not going to look at you all for a while. Just want to see, there's some in the middle of the road, and then Vildi was saying he also saw some on our right-hand side, which is the Djuma side. The left-hand side is the Biffleshoek side. So I just want to see where they go. These ones are carrying up the way a little bit. They're not fresh from now. Possibly this morning. I would actually even say, here we go. Maybe even, now we got some serious rain this morning, hey Vildi? Proper serious rain. So I would say this is after the proper serious rain, yeah. Okay, well, we'll go across and we'll check the fire break. Maybe we get last minute lion tonight instead of last minute leopard, you never know. I only saw 2 or 3 sets. Vildi, I don't know if you saw any more. Vildi says he saw about the same. And definitely just in that area, not before then. So let's cruise through. And definitely some vehicles saw them. You can see, I don't know if they physically saw the lions, but they at least saw the tracks. You can see where they were turning about. I just need to get access onto the fire break. Ooh. Deirdre, you want to see a bush baby? I'll definitely add to the wish list. It is summer. We should start seeing them more. Again, a little bit chilly for them, but I'll definitely add it to the wish list. I was super excited. I was in the Kruger National Park, yes, at the end of October. See here, Vildi. See, you guys see these vehicle trucks? The end of October, and had a sighting of a greater bush baby, which I hadn't seen in a very long time, and was very, very chuffed about. I think these guys saw these lions, hey? I'm almost convinced of it. Almost convinced. Just careful, careful, careful. Sorry, I thought this was a road. It is not actually what I thought it was, so made a slight little error in judgment here, but we're already halfway through, so we'll go. That was a little stump. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, bush babies would be good. The greater bush baby that I saw is much larger than the lesser galago, and it has a big, thicker tail, and it was busy wandering around on my stoop, on my porch, when I saw it, and I managed to get, there's lion tracks again, but definitely after the rain, and they're on our side, yay! Going straight down the road. Okay guys, we're in for a little bit of tracking. I hope everybody is okay with that. As I say that, they've moved off and come back. So as we know, then Kahuma's is quite a decent sized pride. And because they've got sort of sub-adults mixed with adults, mixed with some juveniles, there's a lot of movement between the juveniles and the sub-adults when they're wandering around. The adults tend to head quite just straight through. I'm only picking up on the females and the youngsters. Looks like they were moving in and out this area here. I felt like a little bit more down that way. Yeah, because Vildi, we picked them up there and then they moved in and then came around. Okay, so without having any more to go on, and I can't, just drive into this block here, we're going to take our next road and come down and loop around like this. I think that's the best bet that we have thus far, because our tracks on that side were moving up, tracks on this side were moving down. And then it felt more like in there. So that is all we can do. You can see where the guys were here. Where are these lions? Interesting. The plot thickens. Interesting. It's also possible that they just came out of Bisfield's Hook and then went back in. So while I'm busy putting together our puzzle pieces, let's head over to Ralph and see what he's up to with his tracking.
Right, folks, we've done our little bit of bundu bashing there, and that was quite fun. We nearly didn't make it out, but we're nearly back towards the airstrip and clear ground. Sorry about the bashing. That's why it's called bundu bashing. That's what these vehicles are made for, and they're absolutely wonderful machines. But we do try to go slowly. We don't want to damage too much vegetation and the vehicle, but it was all in aid of following up on those guinea fowl, which as soon as we got nearby went quiet. So we do assume that they were calling for roosting. It is that time of day, so we're going to head back to the airstrip. It's a lovely area for the leopards and hyena, and I do see some animals starting to show themselves. There are some zebra up in front that we might go and have a look at. I'm going to just run up the side of the airstrip here, and we can go and have a look at those zebra up in front. Right, so I haven't seen a zebra in a little while, so let's go and see. And we're going to watch these animals and their behavior, because it's that time of the evening when the predators do start to become active. So if the animal's going to pick up on the noise, or they're going to smell a leopard, they're going to start to point us in the direction of them. So, you know, always from a distance, you always want to watch the behavior of the antelope and of the game, because if they pick up on a smell, they'll all start to point in a particular direction, and then they can indicate to you that there's something to look out for. I've very often found predators as a result of just watching the game and which way they're looking. So we're just going to come up here. I'm going to stop near to these zebra, just to give us a nice view of them. There we go. Nice and open again. We bashed our way through the bushes. Now we're out in the clear again, and we've got some Burchell's or plains zebra. I think it's Equus quagga burchelli. I know up in the Mara we've got the Grevy zebra up there, and they don't have that shadow stripe. In South Africa we got the Cape Mountain zebra, which is slightly different to these. You find them, as the name suggests, up in the mountains, but also more in arid areas. So the the stripes don't meet all the way on the belly. They've got white stomachs. This is the mountain zebra I'm talking about, the Cape Mountain zebra. You can see with these Burchell's zebra or plains zebra, the stripes meet all the way on the stomach. With the mountain zebras, their stomach is white, like a lot of the other desert animals, for instance springbok and oryx and even the ground squirrels. They've got that white belly to reflect the heat back off the ground. So very often when you find desert animals, they've got that white belly, whereas these zebra don't. Now each zebra has got a particular pattern, very much like your fingerprints in human, and the mothers will separate themselves from the herd when they are going to have their baby, and they will spend an extended period of time away from the herd, and both the mother and the baby will imprint each other's patterns, smells and sounds on the brain, so that they then recognize each other after that. It's almost like humans. When a mother has a baby, she does like to be on her own with that baby for a little bit of time, just for her to have that time with her baby alone, getting to know the baby. And it's instinctively in us to isolate ourselves for a short period after birth. Question from Dave: how do you tell if it's a male or female? It is relatively difficult with zebra because there's no obvious way of telling. They don't have horns, the males don't have horns, so we do look for the obvious male parts, which makes it easy. So if we're looking at the back end of zebra, that's how we would tell. Now generally with zebra it's quite similar to that of horses and donkeys. There is a stallion that will get himself a harem, and there will generally be one big male within a group of zebra like this, and he's generally the one that, if there's any danger, you will see him coming to the front and fronting the danger. And if they are running away from anything, he's the one that normally turns around and sort of hangs at the back. So you can generally see it like that. But there's no real major or easy way of finding male and female between zebra. But while we watch these zebra move off into the distance, let's go back to Noel, who's got the elephants once more.
I do have elephants. I've got some different elephants. This is a very pregnant female. Quite long, thin tusks. You can actually see where Vildi is focusing in now. That is the baby bulging out. She's going to pop soon. She's turned there. You can see it a little bit better there. Shame, heavy pregnant. The rest of the herd is just inside the bushes a little bit farther to her left-hand side. They've meandered off a bit. So she's got a bit of hormones going on. When we first saw her, she put out her ears and looked at us, and then it calmed right down. But you know, when you're that big and you have that many hormones raging through your body, I can only imagine how uncomfortable you must be. So we'll leave her to her feeding. It's also getting a little bit dark, and so we will let them carry on. And we are still searching for the owners of those lion tracks, and just basically doing the block the best that we can. My sneaky suspicion is that a few popped out from Biffle's Hook and then went back in, unless some of the pride moved and then the deluge happened and then a little bit more of the pride moved. It's all conjecture at this point. But we'll check. We're going to check the dam up ahead. Because you're curious about why are lions the only large cat that live in the pride. So the only large cat to have females that live in a group, which is their pride structure, as we call it, is lions. The reason why, I think, would possibly have to do with the fact of their size. They're much bigger than a leopard and they're much bigger than a cheetah, and so it behooves them to have a number of these large females in a group because it allows them to take down larger prey, which allows them to sustain themselves a bit more. So again, remember, when nature created all of its little bits and bobs, us included, we all fit into a very particular niche. So when you have large cats, cheetah, leopard, and lion all living together, they all have to fit into their own specific niche. And the lion's niche, sorry guys, it's going to be super bumpy, hold on. And the lion's niche is to be the heaviest, largest predator that we have on the African continent, sub-Saharan continent, part of the continent, and able to take down larger prey. Now, if you go and you look at something like a tiger is even bigger than a lion. Obviously not occurring on this continent, occurring over in Asia. And they're not in a pride structure, but they're also living in a much more dense area, as opposed to a lion, which will live in thick bush and open areas. So then, as I'm saying that, it would also make sense to have prides of lions, especially in more open areas, similar to why wildebeest, for instance, males and females both have horns, because it allows them better protection, both the males and the females. That would be my general guess. Very interesting question. So while I'm busy looking for our large pride of lions, let's head over to Ralph and see what he has to show us.
So we've just relocated a little bit and we've got ourselves a nice view of these zebra, and they're just moving through. Remember that zebra being bulk grazers, they're not too picky about what they feed on grass wise, so they can just move through here and feed on pretty much any of this grass matter as they move along. They might be going down towards the water, and as I say that, the guinea fowl is starting to make a noise behind us. But have a look at that. It looks like a youngster just having a little bit of a play with the adult. A little bit of a sparring session there. Zebra can be quite nasty to each other. They kick each other, they bite each other. Sometimes you can see a zebra with no tails. There he goes with a kick. You can see zebra with no tails, and that's generally from other zebra. They bite each other's tails right off. People often think it's from predators, but mostly it's from their own kind. Now, with zebra, they don't have horns or any defensive mechanism like that, so their biggest defense is their kick. So it's important for them to practice that, not only between each other. They obviously establish dominance by biting and kicking, as you can see there. So they do it, they play, they practice, because when it's important, whether it be dominance between each other or protecting themselves from a predator, they need to have it perfected and well trained. So when a lion tries to chase them, that kick can literally break the jaw of a lion. Monique saying that play doesn't look fun at all. I don't know, the way that they're bending down onto their hockles like that, it does for me look like a little bit like it's reasonably fun, but that's all in the impression of what you might get. But play is very important with wildlife, whether it be for training, for dominance, for like you see with a lot of the baby impala now that have virtually been alive for only a couple of days, and they're already, some of them, starting to spar. So folks, we're starting to head down towards the end of the show. We've had a lovely day once more out here in the bush. It's been a bit of a patchy day in terms of the weather. A little bit of rain, a little bit of sunshine, the clouds have come over again. So we always wonder what tomorrow is going to hold. We'd love for you to join us again tomorrow as we try and find all the lovely things that we have out here in the bush. I'd just like to say a lovely thank you to the team up in the Mara, to all the cameramen, to Noel, who's out watching those elephants. Most importantly, to the viewers, thank you folks. Please watch again tomorrow. Good night. God bless. Goodbye.